everything that you want in your life, anything you're desiring, you actually already have it. Everything you actually desire, everything you actually want, you already have it, but your refusal to believe that is the reason you do not see that. And I'm going to break that down for you in this chapter today. This is Preparing Your Place, chapter 9. We're going to begin with John 17:10. And all mine are thine, and thine are mine. And we're going to get right here into Revelation. Thrust in thy sickle and reap, for the time has come for thee to reap, for the harvest of the earth is ripe. Revelations 14:15. All right, guys, we're going to cover something right now that we've never covered before, and I want to get into depth and detail with this because this is so important to understand about the things that you actually want in your life and the things that you actually have in your life and the difference between that, because all is yours right now. You do not go seeking for that which you are. You appropriate it, claim it, and assume it. And right here, everything depends upon your concept of self. That which you do not claim is true of yourself cannot be realized by you. Okay, so that's what I said in the beginning of this video. Your life is exactly the way that you want it to be right now. Even if you feel like you don't have everything that you want, you actually created a world exactly the way that it is. Whether it's conscious or knowingly or unknowingly, your life is exactly the way that you want it to be. So if you're suffering from lack of love, lack of abundance, lack of anything in your life, it's because you unconsciously want that because it makes you feel alive, whether that's from trauma from your past or some illusion of something that has occurred in your life that makes you want to fail at something. That way you got some sort of recognition from your outside world, people feeling sorry for you. It makes you feel alive to be hurt, to not to be abundant. Or you have these ideas from childhood that having money is actually is evil. So your life right now is actually exactly the way that you want it to be, whether knowingly or unknowingly. Whether you're lacking something, it's because of something deep within you that actually desires not having it more than having it, because your current concept of self is one of failure, of feeling alive, for being recognized for being a failure, for people feeling sorry for you because of some trauma that you had happened to you, maybe in your childhood or something that you have gone through somewhere in your life. You desire that feeling of people feeling sorry for you or of failure. Somewhere in that feeling state that you have created with the version of yourself, you have created defeat. And that is ultimately what you want. That's your feeling state, and that's what you're creating in your world. That is why your world is the way that it is. And if you think that there's actually things that you desire that you don't already have, you are delusional. And actually, Neville Goddard actually said this himself. He said, you are already that which you want to be. And your refusal to believe it is the only reason you do not see it. So your current concept of self wants to be defeated, wants to live in a lack, wants people to feel sorry for them, wants to be loveless. This is a concept of self that desires to feel this way based on that concept. So if your life, if you feel like you actually want more things in your life that you don't already have, then you're delusional. And the thing that you need to do is change your concept of self, and then this will all change. You stop wanting it because you already have everything that you want. You just don't realize it. But what you have to do is change your current concept of self, and then you will actually have the things that you think that you want now. By changing that, by increasing or creating this new feeling state, by living in this new feeling state and creating a new version of yourself, and then you will have all of these other things once you change that. So basically, you having everything that you want right now is an unconscious desire for you not to have these things, but you can overcome that by changing your version of yourself and releasing yourself from those blocks of wanting to be hurt, to be, all these things that we just covered. And it's actually, we talk about it right here in the Bible in Matthew and Luke. Matthew 25:29 and Luke 8:18. The promise is, whosoever hath, to him it shall be given. So whoever, like your present concept of self right here, whosoever hath, to him it shall be given. Once you're in a state of being a person that is abundant, that is loved, all these, then you have all that. Once you have all that, then it shall be given, and he shall have more abundance. But whosoever hath not, from him it shall be taken away. even that which he seemeth to have. So you may think that you desire something other than what you have, but that's not true. And it says it right here in the Bible. From him it shall be taken away, even that which he seemeth to have. So this is a psychological analogy here, but it's you already have everything that you want in life, and your refusal to believe that is the reason you don't see it. And we're going to break this down even further, and we're going to teach you how you can break free from these old beliefs and this old version of yourself. That way you can start attracting and break the chains from the drama and from the life that you no longer want. Okay, so hold fast in your imagination to all that is lovely and of good report. For the lovely and the good are essential in your life if it is to be worthwhile. Assume it. You do this by imagining that you already are what you want to be and already have what you want to have. Okay, so what he's saying here is you do this by imagining that you already are what you want to be. So you know what you don't want now. Okay, you don't want the old version of yourself. Now you want a new version. Now that we have pointed out why your life is in lack because you're actually wanting those things, that's unconsciously wanting that. You're unconsciously creating that because that's really what you want. But now you're taking conscious control of the things that you want, and you determine that. You determine that right now, or as you practice this, you do this by imagining that you are already what you want to be and already have what you want to have. So now you can change it consciously. Right here, it says in the Bible, Proverbs 23:7, as a man thinketh in his heart, so is he. So your present concept of self is going to determine the world in which you live. Like in the parallel realities, the infinite realities, whatever concept you have, that's the world you're going to live in. You're going to transfer and shift different energies, frequencies, feeling states, and whatever you want to call it, whatever terminology you want to use. Okay, so be still and know that you are now that which you desire to be. And you will never have to search for it. In spite of your appearance of freedom of action, you obey as everything else does. This is where it gets into free will, which I will explain even further. In spite of your appearance of freedom to action, you actually don't have freedom to action. You can't take any action in the outside world without first having an assumption of it, because your world is projected outwardly. It's not that, you just don't have to do anything. You can lay on a couch all day. That's not what that means. That means that I can't just go over here and pick this up off the table without first having a feeling or an assumption. Because before you can do anything in your 3D world, before you can move your hands or walk or talk or anything, you are imagining it in your mind. You're picturing it in your mind and having an assumption and an observation, and it's being pushed out. Your world is you pushed out. Okay, so there's no action being taken, without first coming from within you and pushed out. So that's what it means by the world is you pushed out. And there's a lot of other variables with that, but there is no action that can be taken by anyone without first having an assumption and actually seeing it as an image within mind, because imagination is God projecting your world as it is. So I can't pick this up without first picturing it in my mind and then having an assumption of me reaching and grabbing it before I actually did it. Everything is predetermined by your imagination. Okay, so let's go ahead and get into this a little bit further. As everything else does, the law of assumption. Whatever you may think of the question of free will, the truth is your experiences throughout your life are determined by your assumptions. This is what he said right here. Whatever you may think of the question of free will, the truth is your experiences throughout your life are determined by your assumptions. Very firstly, your assumptions create everything that you do, whether conscious or unconscious. An assumption builds a bridge of incidents that lead inevitably to the fulfillment of itself. Like this, just like that. My assumption of grabbing this off the table right there led to a bridge of incidents that inevitably to the fulfillment of itself, me picking it up. Okay, so man believes the future to be the natural development of the past, but the law of assumption clearly shows that this is not the case. Your assumption places you psychologically where you are not physically, then your senses pull you back from where you were psychologically to where you are physically. In these psychological forward motions that produce your physical forward motions in time, precognition permeates all the scriptures of the word. So of the world. So let me go back through this and explain this. Okay, so your assumption places you psychologically. So you're assuming, like when I'm picking this up, just as an example, psychologically. So my mind psychologically has already picked it up before I did it. Once I thought about it and I imaged it right before I did it, because time doesn't exist the way that you think. So time time is, the past exists right now, the future exists right now. So it already, once I imagined and assumed that I was going to pick it up, I already pictured it before I did it. And then that caused me to act and actually pick it up. So that's how that works, where your assumptions place you psychologically where you were not physically, then your senses pull you back to where you were physically, to where you are, or psychologically to where you are physically. It is these psychological forward motions that produce your physical forward motions in time. Precognition permeates all the scriptures of the world. I just want to clarify and define this word here, precognition. When he says precognition, it's like knowing something that actually hasn't happened yet. Okay, so that's precognition, and it's what he's saying what the Bible is actually full of. It's full of these knowings of things that haven't happened yet, and it talks about those. It's permeated through the Bible. And this is where the Bible is actually giving us instructions or the formula to change our concept of self, or to shift to different infinite parallel realities right here. In my Father's house are many mansions. Like in my Father's house, there are many infinite parallel realities. If it were not so, I would have told you, I go to prepare a place for you. And if I go and prepare a place for you, I will come again and receive you unto myself, that where I am, there ye may be also. And now I have told you before it came to pass, that when it come to pass, ye might believe. John 14, 2, 3, 29. This is actually, it's pretty obvious that this is symbolic, okay? So here's where Neville Goddard actually breaks down John 14, 2, 3, and 29. The I in this quotation is your imagination, which goes into the future, into one of the many mansions or infinite realities. Mansion is the state desired. Telling of an event before it occurs physically is simply feeling yourself into the state desired until it has the tone of reality. You go and prepare a place for yourself by imagining yourself into the feeling of your wish fulfilled. So it's all about creating the feeling of being the person that you now want to be. So that's the trick. That's the formula for assuming that you have everything that you now want or desire, everything that you now have discovered that you unconsciously are wanting, that you do want, because your life is exactly that way because of that. But now you're taking conscious control of your life, of your feelings, of your version of yourself, and you're changing that now. So then you find the person that you want to be and the things that you want to have. How would you feel if you already had all these things? And then you persist in that, assume it, fall asleep with it, visualize it, affirm it, script it, do whatever you got to do, and then get on with it. Then you will change it. But this is the formula that is laid out for us, okay? And this is what he says. Then you speed from this state of the wish fulfilled where you have not been physically back to where you were physically a moment ago. Then with an irresistible forward movement, you move forward across a series of events to the physical realization of your wish. That where you have been in imagination, there you will be in the flesh also. Like when I gave you the example of picking this up right here, you can do that much further away from you. You can do that a month from now and make a month from now today where you're a millionaire. And you assume that you have visualized it just like I did before I grabbed this. The same way, but a more of an you're extending your feelers further away from you by imaging doing something and having something and with a new version of yourself, just a little bit further away, a month away or a year away, whatever you want to make it. Make that now like it's right in front of you. Pick it up. Like visualize that you have that, affirm it, script it, do whatever you have to do, but you are always imaging something first. There's always an image of it first, and then psychologically you go there, and then you bring it back to yourself, and then you will be led there, like he says here. Then you speed from this state of the wish fulfilled, where you have not been physically, back to where you were physically a moment ago. And then with an irresistible forward movement, you move across a series of events to the physical realization of your wish. That where you have been in imagination, there you will have to be in the flesh as well. So just like I picked this up, you can do that with something like a brand new car or a relationship or, $1 million or winning the stock, a lottery, whatever you want to use it for. You got to imagine that incident, as being the person that you want to be, and creating that. All right, so unto the place where hence the rivers come, thither they return again. Ecclesiastes 1:7. All right, guys, that is the end of this video. I know that was a ton of information to retain, but I'm going to get into this more as we move through this book. I'm going to get into more of this and expound even further on this to better help you understand, because I know that's a lot to take in just one video, but we're going to get further into that, and I'm going to elaborate and expound on all this even further. All right, I love you guys very much, and don't forget to give me one thing you guys are grateful for. Any questions you have, leave that in the column box below, and I will see you guys in the next video.